Yeah, I've told you guys, for some reason, Streamlabs likes to do that. If I don't use it for a little while, it just resets everything, and I forget to check because I have my mic obviously set as my audio, but I forget to check that they might have just decided, nah, don't want to do it. Um, but yeah, I want to talk the whole Kenny Omega thing. Want to talk some the Bloodline and that implosion and how I think that's the best storyline the WWE has come up with in a long time. I want to talk WWE Women's Division, which I continue to be a huge fan of. I mean, for so many years, the women in WWE were just a sideshow event, and they were there to do bra and panties matches and you know to give fans hopes of a potential nipple slip or something. And now the workers, the wrestlers are just amazing. So freaking good. So much fun. Yeah, yeah, Big Green. There was nothing wrong with bra and panties matches. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they were that they weren't entertaining as hell, but it's nice to have women in there who can really hook up a match, who can really wrestle too. Good storytellers as well. Deathblood says, anyone going to talk about John Cena doing a flashback match in November? I don't know anything about that, Deathblood. Uh, I would talk about it, except, again, that's the first time hearing of it. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, exactly, Big Green. He says, oh, I enjoyed those matches, but for reasons other than wrestling. And me as well. I mean, really solid reasons I enjoyed them, but they had little to do with wrestling abilities. But now, I mean, that women's division is stacked. I always, for me, the way I guess rate a wrestler just for my own entertainment value is if their name is on the card, am I going to stick around for that match? If I'm watching and they say so and so is coming up, is it going to make me not take that remote in hand as so many of us do and look around and see if there's other shit going on too? But the women have a lot of them. I Asuka entertains the hell out of me. Bianca Belair, I think, is amazing. Um, Charlotte Flair, I have to. I'm as much as I'm a big admirer of Charlotte Flair. I think she's a phenomenal wrestler. Really, really good. I would be okay with her not being at the top anymore, just because they have so much talent that's more interesting to me now. Um, oh God, and you guys know me in names. The real the tiny little woman there from the Latino World Order. What's her name? Zelina Vega. She amazes me because she's gotten much better as a wrestler. When she first came in, I was not that impressed, but she's gotten really good with working in the ring. But she is so freaking tiny to be able to take the abuse that she takes. I'm just impressed with her. Asuka is entirely badass. Asuka's my favorite of the female division. No question. I love Asuka. So much fun to watch. Smoky Goblin says, "What are your thoughts on the Roman Reigns title run?" I'm tired of it, and that's not a knock against Roman at all. I would just like to see some shakeup in it. Um, I think you should have dropped the belt to Cody, but you can't deny that they've done bonkers business with Cody. Yeah, I'm not a, and again, I always qualify these things before I say them. I never want to appear. I have too much respect for everybody in the business to appear like I'm shitting on them. I'm not a huge Cody fan. Nothing. I think he's an amazing wrestler and stuff. Just some characters really strike a chord with you, and others not so much. But so I wasn't a big fan of him carrying the belt, although it makes perfect sense from a business standpoint. Cody Rhodes is so freaking over right now, but he's just not one of my favorites. I'm a big Kevin Owens fan. I like KO a lot. Big and again, you guys will see me stumbling on names all the time, and I stumble on names because of wrestling, so it's apropos in this stream and all the bludgeoning I took. The big Scotsman, whose name always wants to escape me. I'd like to see him have another run with the belt. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Skybomb. let's see. Death Blood says they both fancy themselves as the tops of the division, almost taking Asuka for granted. That will likely backfire, and if it does not, then there's the real possibility that Money in the Bank winner will take over. Drew McIntyre, yes, thank you, Social Mute. I like Drew McIntyre a lot. Ever since Drew came back, he had his initial run, and then came back with the WWE again, and ever since he's been back, I've been super impressed with everything about him. His character, obviously, he could always work in the ring. Gotten so much stronger on the mic. In fairness to Roman, so has he. That was the big drawback early on for me with Roman was you almost shuddered a little bit when he got on the mic. But now, hey, everybody involved in this whole Bloodline thing has played their roles so perfectly. That has been such a phenomenal storyline. It's been so well done. Yeah, not wrong, Geyser. He says the Big Scotsman sounds like a badass title, to be honest. It does. Big sword-wielding Scotsman. I've always been a fan of Sheamus. Yeah, unfortunately, Big Green. Says wrestling and concussions go hand in hand. They certainly do. Social Mute says Drew winning at Clash at the Castle would have been a good moment also, but I still feel unifying the titles hasn't helped the situation. Yeah. I've got nothing. Roman Reigns absolutely deserves to be at the top of the heap. But I think things are getting a little bit stale with him holding the belt. That's just, I'd like to see some title changes. I can't find anything to fault in Roman Reigns' game. Not anymore. He's gotten so good now on the mic and, working his spots and he's always been an excellent wrestler of that whole family. I don't think it would be possible to come from that family and not be an excellent worker. Deathblood says it will be interesting to see what the end game ultimately is in this feud, but Sheamus is bulletproof at this point in his career, and Holland has yet to be hurt by suffering these losses. Yeah, like Sheamus always we always had a special connection with him because years ago I took Brax to a wrestling show in Albany, New York, and one of the was it a dark? Because it was one of the televised shows. It was Raw or SmackDown. Yeah, I think it was a dark match. It wasn't even on air. It was one of the dark matches before the taping began. Had Sheamus on it, and Sheamus was brand new to the organization. We'd never heard of him, and of course he just went over on somebody without a problem. And I was telling Brax, I was like, "Holy shit, this dude's freaking impressive." We're going to hear lots and lots more about him, so we've always had kind of a connection with him. Gunther versus Sheamus has to be the best match for the last 10 years. Absolutely great match. The only issue I have with Gunther is I think his in-ring work is great. His character, his personality doesn't really. I don't get excited for his matches. And again, that's just a personal preference thing. But he's obviously doing something right, because a lot of people don't agree with me on that. It's like, oh, okay, Gunther. I've never really seen a reason to get excited about him. Deathblood says the match between Zelina Vega and Bayley was secondary to the promo, that preceded it, and it felt every bit of it. Yeah, Zelina's in such a tough spot. I mean, it's one thing to be on the small side, like Rey Mysterio. He's one of the few that made, a brilliant career, headlining career, as an severely undersized wrestler by comparison. But I think Zelina's undersizement, I'll make that word up, undersizement, is even more extreme than Rey's. And so for her to be keeping this pace, this schedule, and working with these women who are much bigger and much stronger and holding up through it is pretty impressive. And I don't say that just because she's an anime nerd and so am I, although that doesn't hurt. Smoky Goblin says, I definitely prefer the name Walter, but Gunther is growing on me. Yeah, like I say, I'm in a minority there because obviously they wouldn't have a strap, one of their big titles, on somebody for what, 400 days if he wasn't producing. He obviously is. It's just again, strictly a personal thing. I don't get enthused for his matches. Now, that's not to say he can't work a good match. It's just he hasn't given me a lot of personality to grab onto. I do watch his matches, obviously, when he's up against one of my favorites, because I'm rooting for one of my favorites to take the belt from him. Dark match, that when they cover them in glow paint and turn the lights down. That would be kind of cool, though. That would be kind of like glow golf. Except in a wrestling ring, yeah. I think I think people could get into that. And I probably should apologize to you guys for setting this stream up. I probably should have gone over to Kick for this stream, just because I posted 3 vids today, so I knew we'll get next to nothing for notifications on this. Not everybody, of course, here at the channel is a wrestling fan, but we have tons of wrestling fans, but YouTube doesn't like you interacting with your audience too often. And so with posting 3 videos, I knew notifications would be barren on this one. Hey, Mortem. Deathblood says a rushed match with little substance. It put Damage Control and Vega in front of the audience, but gave them little to do en route to the role model, scoring a victory off of a momentary distraction. Yeah, I mean, just like any other form of entertainment, though, sometimes as you're trying to move an overall story along, there's always some, I guess, mundane moments in doing that would be the best way to describe it. You got notified, Deathblood? That's cool. Some always go out. But I can tell immediately when we start a stream. It's in the first couple minutes you can tell. Because on the days where a lot of notifications go out, doesn't matter what the topic of the stream is, you get a big rush because people just come in just to see what it's about, see if they want to stay. And when the first few minutes are just dead, I know that they didn't bother with any big number of notifications. Kyle says, LA Knight versus Theory at SummerSlam. I've come along more and more with Ross than Theory. I like him more and more. Kid can really wrestle. I thought when he initially came in, the whole thing with the cell phone camera doing selfies was kind of hokey, but it was cool. Got him noticed. I think it was effective. But he's a really good wrestler. And LA Knight, of course, is just blowing up. LA Knight has become Braxton's favorite already. Braxton's really behind him. So yeah, that's a good match. I'm in for that match. Deathblood says, I got notified but not for the videos you put out. Yeah, I told you guys I had the big go around, the big conversation with YouTube again about notifications, and I got this long, very detailed message back, which basically said just what I know. Screw you. That's it's what it is. YouTube wants you to only make content that makes them money. So in other words, like for us, it's the reactions and the try not to laughs. Well, if I want to try and get, because I know we have a segment of our audience that's into wrestling, if I want to try and get to those people, YouTube says no, because if I post a wrestling video or this wrestling stream, they'll send it out initially, and if it doesn't get as big a response, which it won't, as an immediate response as does a try not to laugh, they just stop sending it out. They say, no, don't do that. Go back and do the other thing. We can't, we need to sell ads is basically what it amounts to. Deathblood says, Jay Uso did not get the answer to the challenge for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match he was looking for, but he did get a measure of revenge on Paul Heyman. Yeah, I was surprised to see that. It's good to see that old Paul still take a bump every so often. I thought that was pretty cool. He landed the super kick on him. I like that. And now, how many of you guys have been following the whole Kenny Omega Will Ospreay thing and the Tiger Driver 91? How many of you guys have followed that? I just posted a video about it. Excuse me, guys. Hold on, I'll give you a link. I just posted a video about it, my thoughts on it, but we can talk about it here as well. But because of YouTube being the way they are, I post my wrestling videos over here at Rumble. There's the link for any of you guys who want it. Well, what happened was with the Kenny Omega Will Ospreay thing, Ospreay hit Omega with the Tiger Bomb. Isn't that what they call it? Tiger Bomb, I believe. Tiger Bomb 91. If you haven't seen it, it's the way I describe it. It's basically an underhook power bomb. You hit the underhook, bring the guy up, over, and around, and he's supposed to come through. You don't have much time to get full rotation. Rotate through, and he gets dropped on his back. Well, they didn't get it really in sync. Ospreay didn't get him up super high, and it didn't seem like Omega's jump was timed well. And Kenny landed right on his neck. It looked pretty gruesome. It looked bad when he hit. Fortunately, he says he's okay, seems to be fine. But he's been taking all kinds of shit for it on the internet, and everybody's coming at him for being willing to agree to take such a dangerous move. And he responded in a Sports Illustrated article, and I agree with what he said. I mean, wrestling's dangerous. And if he decides, and my take on that is, if he decides, him and Ospreay decide that they want to do this move and they're both comfortable with it, why is it different than anything else? Why is it different than a pile driver? You know, why is it different than doing a big move off the top rope onto the floor? You're counting on your other, the guys in there with you to take care of you. You're counting on the guys to take care of you when you do the Tiger Bomb. So I don't understand what the big freaking deal about it is, but I agreed with everything Kenny said defending himself. But then he went on to put an analogy how it's similar to like Mike Tyson when he was boxing, because he said Mike Tyson, he would fight inside, and that was more dangerous because he's in close to guys who are throwing big haymaker punches, other big strong heavyweights. And wouldn't it have been smarter for Mike, if he was worried about, taking care of himself, to stay outside and jab and counter punch? And it's like, ooh, Kenny, you should have stopped with your initial explanation, because as a huge boxing fan, that made absolutely zero sense. He was actually hurting his point with that, because Mike Tyson fought inside to protect himself. Mike Tyson had the best heavyweight best head movement, as far as I'm concerned, in the history of the heavyweight division. He could get inside without getting hit. Plus, it's hard for boxers to punch down, and most everybody Mike Tyson fought was taller than him. Now you're making them try and punch down. Beyond that, it got Tyson inside to where he can use that devastating power that he had on the inside and end the fight, so he doesn't have to worry about taking any more beatings. But yeah, Kenny should have just stopped at his defense and not gone into an analogy, because it really fell off the rails then. I didn't expect to stream either, Chrome. I just had a few minutes, and I'd been putting together some wrestling videos and stuff, and I've just been more and more back into wrestling, so I thought it'd be fun. Plus, I wanted to see, too, if I was right, and nothing has changed at YouTube, and, the notifications wouldn't go out. Kyle says, do you think it's going to be a triple threat against Asuka, Bianca, and Charlotte at SummerSlam? Very possible. Very possible. The only reason it may not is because I'm thinking, will they believe that that's too obvious? That would be the only reason I would think maybe not. Yeah, Chrome only found out about the stream from refreshing the main page. Yeah, it's done. I mean, YouTube is just, for us here, is just toast. Mike Tyson wants to know his location. Yeah, Mortem. It was again. I agree with what Kenny said, defending himself for taking the move. But then he went into that analogy, and it's like, oh, dude, and, and it's not a big deal. Other than that, I'm just a huge boxing fan as well. So it's like that was one of the worst analogies on anything I've ever heard. Jordan says, sad that once again Asuka's the third wheel. You think so, Jordan? I think they're pushing her pretty good. I don't think they third wheel her with those other two. I mean, Asuka, she's had several title runs now and everything, and she's my favorite in the women's division without a question. She just everything about her is fun. I love her character. I mean, the whole struggling with English and the yelling all the time and everything, and the just that whole demeanor she takes on is really, really cool, really cute. Discord bot doesn't seem to want to work again too, Chrome. Oh, jeez. We can't win. We can't win sometimes. Right, exactly, Big Green. Good argument, terrible example. Yeah, that's when he went into that analogy, I was like, oh, dude, trust me, you are just so not helping your case here, because that makes no sense at all. Asuka was hilarious when I played the 2K22 women's career mode. Really, Big Green? Yeah, I just love her. She everything about that character, that gimmick, and plus obviously her in-ring work is second to none. Excuse me, I was really glad when they gave her the belt back again. And the women's division is just so good. I mean, Bianca's amazing, and Charlotte Flair, for as long as she's been in it, she's still, whatever you may, whatever all of us have heard about how she is maybe behind the scenes, notwithstanding, she's amazing in that ring. She really is. She was. I will say this. I think Bianca and Asuka both are better on the mic though than Charlotte. And I know Asuka's on rarely, but she makes such good use of her time with that English and the way she puts that character over. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole women's division is loaded. Bayley can work her ass off. You know what? Now another name I'm going to slip on. Oh, think of her name. Come on. Tall woman, dark hair. She when she was injured, she was working with Adam Pearce. There, she was. They gave her a position of authority. Oh my gosh, her name's gone right out of my head. I think she's a phenomenal worker, and unfortunately, she's used to enhance people a lot. Help me out with that name, guys. I got to start doing. If I'm going to do these wrestling streams, I got to start doing them with Braxton in tow with me, because he can remember the name. Sonya Deville. Thank you, Jordan. I would like to see Sonya get more push. Not going to happen. I really like watching her. I think she's an amazing talent. And she's you know what? She's in a spot. Well, she's in a spot we've seen people get put in a lot, whereas they've had a top end runner, a big run, and you've got so much talent at the top end of the roster, they just kind of get lost there. Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. I reported the live. I don't know what you mean, Maggie. I don't know what you mean. I like that, Crow. Big Green says pulling Spice Kid in the streams again would be dope, regardless of the occasion. Well, I haven't announced it yet, because that's how day to day touch and go my schedule is. I'm still not positive I can do that subathon stream tomorrow, but it's looking good. I'll try and give you guys at least an hour or so notice if I can. And if I do the subathon, I'm sure he'll be on for at least part of it. Maggie says, I reported the live for inappropriate behavior. Oh no, did we hurt your fifis, Maggie? Oh no. Zenva. it, I think Maggie's in desperate need of some attention, guys. Everybody say hi to Maggie. She needs some attention right now. Love the shirt. What one do I have? Oh yeah. Oh, she'll always. I don't care how many times they change her name. She'll always be Dr. Girlfriend to me. Chrome says, except the Shockmaster and that weirdo, the Ultimate Warrior, mostly because he wrote an awful comic. Yeah, I was not a big Ultimate Warrior fan, Chrome. It was one of those cases where, well, I wasn't a fan of his wrestling because his wrestling skills were basically non-existent. But Jim Hellwig, who played the Ultimate Warrior, was not somebody. The way he conducted himself, he was, I'm not going to get into details, but he's not somebody I was a fan of. Mr. Andrew says, Curtis, do you like watching big meaty men slapping meat? Well, who doesn't? Chrome says Maggie needs her nap time. Oh, the Shockmaster, that was so funny. That was so funny. That was a gimmick that was likely doomed to failure anyway. But then in one entrance, the failure was guaranteed. Next says, hey Curtis, been a fan since the early Brandon Rogers reactions. Great to see you still going strong with the channel. Thanks, I appreciate that. MC King says, I like WWE girls. Well, as I said, they've come a long way. They've come a long way from just being eye candy and, as I said, bra panties matches and things like that. And now these freaking girls can work their asses off. They're really, really good. Chrome says, I actually learned a little more about the Shockmaster recently. Apparently the fall wasn't his fault. It wasn't. They built the breakaway wall thing too thick and sturdy. Yeah, he was expecting, I had read that before too, he was expecting like a strong breeze should have been able to blow that thing apart. And so, you're gauging the amount of momentum you use when you're coming through a gimmick like that. And he obviously didn't use enough, and it just got everything out of sync. Morton says those girls have lips of steel. Okay. Oh, Chrome found the video? Let me take a look. I haven't seen it in ages. As promised. Let me just go to the entrance. Good old Sid. Sid was a good dude. I told that story about Sid in one. Oh, there it is. In one of the videos. Here we go. Let me see him come in again. Some phenomenal wrestlers in that room right there. Yeah. That entrance is it's sad. That character was DOA, literally on arrival. As he arrived on the ground through that door, it was over. Ethan says, hey Curtis, I watch some of your reactions every night. For some reason, the combo of Family Guy / American Dad and your laughs like the perfect thing for me to fall asleep to. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy that. I'm just surprised anybody can fall asleep to my cackling. Hunter Moses says, I think Heyman is losing money from WWE Network. I think Paul does okay money wise. Hunter, pretty smart dude. I was really surprised to see him take a bump again last night. That was kind of cool. Meet Warlord Jr. Have you ever seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Oh, very, very briefly. I don't even know if I've seen an entire episode of it, but I remember when it was on, and I've seen bits or pieces of it. He follows you on Twitter, Hunter? Does he? That's cool. Like I say, Heyman is somebody in the business I think would be a blast to be able to just sit down and talk to for a while. Guys seen a lot of stuff over the years. I would really, really enjoy an opportunity just to chat with him. Yeah, I agreed, Big Green. He says his whole outfit was a mess. The helmet is just the most egregious thing. Yeah, yeah. As I said, I don't think that gimmick was going anywhere anyway. But that entrance solidified the fact that it would not. Eddie Guerrero? Oh yeah, Lacey. Um, when Eddie was on sabbatical, was away from the WWE, he came through and worked indie shows. And unfortunately, I never got to work on a show with him. But some of our young guys did. Some of the guys that had come through our wrestling school, and just hearing the stories, I mean, firsthand of how Eddie's used to playing arenas with 20,000 people in there, and now he's in the indies. You're playing high schools and Elks clubs and stuff like that, and yet he would stay after the shows and spend his own time working with these young guys, just because he loved the business so much, and just because he's a good dude, teaching them things, letting them know what to expect, insider tips as to how to get yourself, everything. They just said he was phenomenal, just incredible to everybody. So I love Eddie Guerrero. Hunter says, who's your favorite modern wrestler? Mine is Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay. We were just talking about that whole incident with the Tiger Bomb there. Favorite modern wrestler going out? Because it's always been Undertaker, but now he's retired. I don't know. There's a bunch of wrestlers at the top of that list. For some reason, I've always just really liked Kevin Owens. I like the way Owens goes about everything he does, and I think this whole anger management angle they got working with him right now is really fun. That's really fun and funny. I like that a lot. He just every time he's in an interview, something's going to set him off. I like that. Jordan says a gem came from that time. Eddie versus Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk. Yeah, Eddie was another one of those guys. That, and don't get me wrong, that I'm not talking about that match you're highlighting in saying this, but he could work a match with a broomstick and it would look great. Eddie, he just absolutely lived for that business. But when you're somebody who's been a WWE champion and circumstances have put you out of the WWE for a time, and you're staying overtime into the night at indie shows just to try and help out other guys in the business, you're a quality person. Oh no. Chrome says, oh no, I shouldn't have seen that vid again. WWE vids are popping up on my YouTube homepage. That's it. You've been targeted, Chrome. It's over. Hunter says, Gunther is cool as hell too. A lot of people like it. See, Gunther doesn't get me charged up for a match at all, but a lot of people like him. And that's that's not saying anything sideways about his in-ring work, because he's just really good. Oh, I got to watch that video. I've been getting that one recommended to me too, Chrome. I want to see that one. The Undertaker and Mick Foley watch iconic Hell in a Cell match, WWE playback. Yeah. That match will live in wrestling history, live in wrestling infamy forever, without question. And rightfully so. Bianca Belair, that is, Mortem. The one with the long hair. Yeah, that's a regular gimmick. It's a cool thing, that insanely long hair. But she's a phenomenal athlete as well. she's one of the most athletic wrestlers, male or female, out there. She's amazing. Sheamus is very good, Mortem. I like Sheamus. Again, you know, Brax and I were fortunate to see him live at a show before he'd even been on TV or anything for WWE, when he was just coming up, and we knew right away, it's like, this guy's exceptional. Yeah, 100%, Jordan. The fact Mick is not in a wheelchair is nothing short of a miracle. Truth. I don't know how he's done it. I mean, I know the bumps I took and the things I did at just a tiniest fraction as far as the number of matches that Mick did the same thing in, and I know what it did to my body. I don't know how he still walks around. He's amazing. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to pack this one up. I only had a few minutes, but I just felt like talking some wrestling. And again, it was a mistake to come here. I apologize. For any of you who don't know, please follow us at Kick, because at least when we do the Kick streams, if you want to get notified, you will. It's just kick.com/Curtis Candy. And for your wrestling fans too, I'll put it up once more. Again, because of the way YouTube is, I post our wrestling videos over at Rumble, and I'll give you that link. Yeah, 11 people, Chrome. 11 people, and YouTube guarantees me that the 24,000 people who are signed up for all notifications by their own numbers, they all got notified of this stream. 24,000 of them. Sure they did. But yeah, it was short and sweet, but this was fun. I just love sitting around talking some wrestling. But yeah, guys, make sure to follow us on Kick. We may be doing a subathon there tomorrow, which will be a long stream, hopefully. And of course, the wrestling videos are over at Rumble. It's sad. I never wanted to move away from YouTube. It's sad what they become to where they force you to do so. All right. Again, thanks for hanging out with me, you guys, and I will talk to you real soon.